every week we have guest speakers joining my Inner Circle group. And this week we have a good friend of mine, a true giant of the profession, and someone that's achieved just about everything you can achieve within the chiropractic industry. He's been president of colleges. He's been a #1 best-selling author across the world. He's been on daytime television in front of millions of people. He's an incredible human being. It's Dr. Fab Mancini is my special guest in my Inner Circle group call. And I hope you enjoyed it. It was an absolutely killer call. Enjoy the footage. So listen, let me crack straight in. I want to be respectful of you guys' time. You know, this Dr. Fab, last week we did 5 calls with my Inner Circle members. This week we're going to actually, I think we're going to do 5 again. And I've been wanting to, if you will, I've been a little bit stingy with some of my connections, etc., because I've been wanting to kind of hold it back a little bit for some special occasions. And there is no such, when you say special occasions or special times we need it, there's no man that can better motivate us and to better put in front of you right now than Dr. Fab. Those of you, I'm going to let Dr. Fab tell you a little bit about themselves, but those of you who don't know Dr. Fab, let me just say that, you know, I've been working with Dr. Fab for a little while now, and he is, he's somebody, that's achieved just about anything you could possibly achieve in the chiropractic profession, as well as run, I don't know if most people don't know this, but Dr. Fab, correct me if I'm wrong, when you were running Park University, it was one of only 2 universities that were debt-free and profitable.
Yes, there still is. Only 2.
Only 2, just by the way, when Dr. Fab took over.
In the whole world.
In the whole world. And Dr. Fab, how old were you when you became president of Parker?
33.
33 years old when Dr. Fab became president of Parker. And he's, you know what's so interesting, having spent more time with Dr. Fab, his stories of how he turned the ship round, if you will, is phenomenal. And he did such obvious things that I wish loads of other colleagues won't get into that. Won't get into that today. But certainly he's a man that's been in the chiropractic profession. I mean, Parker seminars. I mean, at its peak, how many people would come to that a year?
10,000.
10,000 people came to that event every single year, and he can tell you more about that. He's also, you know, Dr. Fab, I would go as far as to say that no one has sold as many chiropractic books in the chiropractic profession as you.
I don't know because I don't keep up with other people, but
yeah.
All I know is when we did the chicken soup for the chiropractic, so we sold over 400,000 in 2 years and never took it to a bookstore, never sold it online. I sold it to chiropractors and I taught them how they could gain at least 6 new patients for every book they gave out to a new patient. And we had an amazing journey. And then, of course, my Power of Self-Healing book, which was my last book, sold a lot more than that because it became an international bestseller in 6 countries within the first week that it came out. So it was, it's been a beautiful journey. The funny thing is that I can't even write. So, hey, if you're thinking about writing a book, don't let your writing skills stop you. Let me put it to you that way.
Awesome. And I'll tell you, other just little, if you will, snapshots of Dr. Fab is, he's also been on the Dr. Oz show. He's been on daytime TV in a program called The Doctors. So when it comes to traditional media, chiropractic, books, success, and all the things that go with it, he's pretty much done anything you can do. But what I would add about Dr. Fab is, and I kind of mentioned this when I said who's going to be on the call, Dr. Fab, I don't know if you even know that people feel like this around you, but Dr. Fab is genuinely one of the most caring and, you know, someone that, you know, when you're around a mentor that kind of goes over and beyond because they really want success for you and you can feel it from them. You know, some mentors, it's not always the case, you know, and when you're around Dr. Fab, when Dr. Fab says, "I love you, man," you believe it, you know, and it comes from his heart. And I always say that about you, Dr. Fab. So without further ado, can everyone unmute themselves and give Dr. Fab a round of applause to welcome him to our call.
Guys are so wonderful. Thank
Now
you.
mute yourselves again. Now mute yourselves again. So Fab, I think today, in these uncertain times, it was really, I just wanted to kind of put you in front of my group and just kind of brainstorm a little bit with you what it is you're doing at the moment to stay positive, what are you focusing on right now, and 2 or 3 tips you have for us in our practices or in life.
Well, thank you, Ryan. And I just want to give you an applause to you for your leadership, for your mentoring, for a tremendous amount of heart, because really that's what it takes. You have to have heart. For my children, I have 2 boys, 20 and 23, and they're both home because one, the university went online, so he came home. And the other one, his work, he just started his work after graduate school, and they closed the work for 30 days because Los Angeles has been tied down. So he took the first plane and came home. And that's been the blessing in all of this. But I always tell them, I said, you have to love what you do in order to be able to achieve your life potential. Because when you love something, you go full-hearted, you have passion, and you don't think of it as work. You think of it as a mission for life. So those are very humbling and statements that you made. But I want you to know that I'm from Colombia, South America. I came to the United States when I was 13 years old. Didn't speak the language. I was set back 2 years of school because I didn't speak the language. And it taught me how to be disciplined in studying. And I graduated with 100.7 average and top of my class. I got accepted to the best pre-med school in the South, which was here in Dallas. And then I wanted to be a medical doctor. I wanted to be a surgeon. Got accepted at Harvard and Johns Hopkins. But then I was introduced to chiropractic after an accident, and it changed my life, like it has many of us. It taught me 3 things, and these are the things that I want you to write down right now. These 3 things have really been the foundation for me never to lose passion for being a chiropractor. The first one is a reminder that the body has a self-healing or is a self-healing organism. Let me tell you, today the world does not understand what that means, especially during this crisis. Everybody feels that the body needs something in order to deal with this virus, when in reality, the more science you study, the more you realize that the body has all the mechanisms to be healthy. It's a self-healing organism. It's actually going to always go towards being healthy. The second thing is that there's various systems in the body, but the nervous system is the most important system. And during this dialogue that we're having, we need to be able to tie in the nervous system as a means to be healthy, not necessarily with your immune system or your respiratory system, but an essential for health. And this is something where I feel the chiropractors that are truly driving tremendous success right now at a very difficult time have not forgotten to be able to educate their consumers, their patients, their communities as to the relationship between health and the healthy nervous system. That is very essential right now. And that is something I have never forgotten since I learned about this from my first chiropractor 30-something years ago. And the last thing is that we need to remind ourselves and remind others that we are not in the business of managing symptoms. Everybody's waiting for, do I have the symptoms of this, or do I have the symptoms of the coronavirus? When in reality, we're in the business of being able to support the body so it can be as healthy as it can be. We are primarily dealing with the root cause of the problem. And we already know through all of the studies and all the reports that we're getting, the people that are really getting sick are the people that have immune or respiratory deficiencies. They are suppressed. So right now is a perfect opportunity for you to reintroduce yourself to your community, reintroduce yourself to your patients, and really try to understand, have I done as good of a job in educating my patients as to how the body heals? You know, I was telling Ryan before we started that when I wrote this book, this is my book, The Power of Self-Healing. This book came out in 2012. And it's still, I just got a call from my publisher, it's still selling like crazy. You know, I do television and radio. So when they introduce me, they talk about Fox News, a healthy living expert. the best-selling author of The Power of Self-Healing. I have taught people that they want to associate me with self-healing. Why? Because as a chiropractor, I don't ever want to lose the foundation of why I became a chiropractor, and that is to support the health of humanity. That's been my mission from day one. And right now, there's never been a bigger time. So what am I doing with my time during this time? Number one, you got to take care of you. You know, so I wake up early. When it's funny because Ryan asked me, I say, well, you're an early riser. I get up at 5 to 5:30 every single morning. That is my ritual for over 25 years. I've been doing that. First thing that I do is I wake up in gratefulness. Let me tell you, there's never been a more powerful emotion than gratefulness. I wrote about it in my book. You need to be grateful for every little thing in your life, because the more that you acknowledge it, you send a message to the universe, and you attract more of what you acknowledge. Attract more of what you acknowledge. So acknowledge the positive things in your life, not the things you want, the things you wish you had, but the things you do currently have, because you have a lot right now. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that in just a minute. Then the second thing that I do is I go work out. This is a ritual that I have found from the biggest and most influential people that I know, the top CEOs in the world. They have a workout routine first thing in the morning. And the reason for that is because it activates your system, your nervous system, your whole system, when you put your body through a physiology change. And Tony Robbins had talked about it many times, that if you want to change your life, you have to change your physiology. There's a lot of science behind that. So I learned that many years ago. Then the third thing that I do, and this I learned from my dear friend Brian Tracy, and I'm going to connect you with Brian, Ryan, to see if you can bring him to your friends. But Brian taught me something that I never forgot. And he said to me that of all the 65 years of being one of the most influential people in the world, he says that the most powerful thing that an individual can do is write their goals down and rewrite them every single day. See, most of us write our goals down, and maybe we read them, but we don't rewrite them. And the rewriting is important because he understood that we are evolving beings. We're constantly changing. Look at us now. We've been forced to change like never before. So you can't just keep being the goals that you had in January 1st right now in March 30th, when in reality, the world is a different world today. So you need to rewrite your goals and follow my advice that I always think is one of the most profound statements that I've ever heard. You can't solve the problems of today with the same level of thinking that created them. You have to change your level of thinking. You have to change your level of doing. Those are the only two things that will allow you to change your outcome. So what are you thinking about? Like, I was having this conversation with one of my sons yesterday, and he was talking about his life, and now he's starting in the workplace. And I say, honey, the best advice that I can give you is this. There are two things that can allow you to change your reality. And that is the way you look at things, the way you think about things, and what are you doing about them. So whenever you're confronted with something like right now in your practice, how are you thinking about your practice? You got to think about your practice from bricks and mortar, because some of us cannot go to work, right? You have to think about, what else can I do? And this is where you find tremendous value, because you already have a great database of people that don't know where to go. They're listening to the news and they're getting depressed. So you have to take ownership of the message. You are their healthcare provider, not the media, not BBC, not all of this media out there that is telling them things every single day. If we don't take control of our message, they are defined then by the message of others. And that's why they're not coming in. That's why they're not supporting you, because somebody else has taken ownership of that message. So take ownership of that message. And then secondarily, what am I doing about it? So what can you do differently right now? I just spoke Sunday with my mentees, which, one of the things, these are some of the biggest practices in the world. And I was so proud of them, because we always talk about changing the way we do business. Right now, you can't do business the way we're used to doing business. But how do you do it? Well, you have one of the biggest mentors in the world. Here in America, Ryan is considered an amazing leader, right? And you guys have him every single day, every single week. So be grateful for that and listen of how to change your business. But don't let that change of business think that it's going to be less than, because some people are having the best month they've ever had, the best week they've ever had in business, because they changed that. So I'm going to set up right now so Brian, we can talk.
How many of you guys learning something from Fab? I wondered if it's interesting you've been around. How just when you were president of Parker, how many chiropractors have probably passed through while you were there, and your connection with chiropractors? You've probably had direct contact with probably more chiropractors than just about anyone on the planet, and I wondered if I could ask you now on the call if there was a common theme, or if there is one or two things that you kind of see in every successful chiropractor, what it is, and maybe it's even I'm even more interested in, could you pick out potentially who was going to be successful even as a student just by something, and what was that something?
That's a great question, and let me go back and give you a very quick story. When I became president of Parker, I never wanted to be president. They tricked me into it because they wanted to know what I would do if I was president. So they called me back and said I was the only one that could do the job. So I thought I would do it for 6 months, and it ended up being 13 and a half years. And the school was in $6 million debt. It was losing $2 million a year. It had 3 lawsuits against it. The students were all wanting to leave the school. And we turned it around very quickly, where we profited $700,000 our first year. That's how quickly you can turn something around. But Parker Seminars was at 1,200 people in Las Vegas after being about 4,000 when Dr. Parker was alive. And I took it from 1,200 to 10,000 in 2 years. And let me tell you how I did it. It was 9/11. And instead of everybody canceling their show in Las Vegas, which Las Vegas let you do, like right now, I decided that if we were going to go out and everybody was thinking that we were going to hit again, right, in America, why not go out celebrating each other? And I threw the biggest party. It was our 50th anniversary. And I invited the biggest names that I knew, Patch Adams and Mark Victor Hansen, Jack Canfield, everybody that I knew that was a celebrity. And we had 10,000 people come, and it became the biggest event in chiropractic at the time. And the reason for that, and I'm going to go back to your question, when you are confronted with crisis, the biggest chiropractors, when I look at the common denominator, the one thing that I look for is how hungry and what is their mission. How hungry are they? When I asked Dr. Parker why he chose to mentor me as a young student, he had 3 children that were chiropractors, and he did not mentor them. He said to me, because you remind me of myself when I was your age, because I see myself in you. And after getting to know him for 16 years, what that taught me was I was a hungry young man. I was absorbing everything. I wanted to be a part of everything. I worked 16, 17-hour days, getting paid $1,000 a month, not because I would have paid him, because when you're in the presence of somebody that has a lot to teach you, you don't want to miss one little thing. And you want to repeat everything they do instead of in your mind trying to justify your own limitations. One of the biggest challenges for most mentors and most consultants in chiropractic, their biggest frustration is that you hire people to help you, but you're not willing to do what they're telling you to do. And it doesn't make any sense. So what I look for, and the common denominators, and the first one is, how big is your vision? How hungry are you? In business, we've always been taught this. When you solve the biggest problem, you get the biggest payoff. So you have to be able to see what is the problem out there. I look at the health of humanity as the biggest challenge humanity has right now. It's not the climate, it's not the water, it's not the air, it's not economics, it's the health of individuals. Because if people were healthy, right now in the United States, the #1 reason why people file personal bankruptcy over the last 5 years is been because they got sick, because they're unhealthy. The number one reason for personal going financially bankrupt. So health impacts every area of your life. So I would say the first thing is to really understand, what is your reason for becoming a chiropractor? How big is that? You know, is it just to be able to make X amount of money, provide for your family, and that's it? Because it cannot be that. You know, Dr. Parker always taught me that your mission has to be bigger than yourself. And I never forgot that. So my mission is worldwide. That's the reason I've been able to do many things out there. I don't think about it. You know, we brought chiropractic to Mexico. We have 40 chiropractors in Mexico for about 110 years. And over the last 15 years, we opened 2 schools, and we have right now 2,500 chiropractors that are licensed all over the country and 2,000 in school. But you won't believe this. We talked the government into paying for it. So to become a chiropractor in Mexico is a 5-year degree, and they pay only $800 American for the 5 years. The government subsidizes it. And the universities are more beautiful than any university in the United States, because every building is beautifully equipped, and because the government learned that by supporting chiropractic after they graduate, they go and work right into the hospitals, which the government of Mexico controls 95% of the healthcare. So we show them how they can reduce their costs and improve the quality of their health and the patient satisfaction by simply adding chiropractors to every hospital in the country. And we did that, you know, because we understood the vision of the value of chiropractic. So that's the one thing. If your value for chiropractic is not clear for you, you will never be able to attract a lot of people. So people will be able to dismiss you. And John DeMartini, which I'm going to connect you also for this group, you know, he told me something many years ago when I became president of Parker. Many people were saying, the board is crazy. How did they pick a 33-year-old that all he's done is have a successful practice, no history of education? And Dr. DeMartini sat me down my first 2 weeks, I remember, and he said, Fab, whoever has the greater level of certainty will always lead. And I never forgot that. He said, you cannot be president like Dr. Parker did it. You have to find your own voice, your own level of certainty. Right? So to me, I realized that when I became certain that I was the right person for the position, the right person to take that school to another level, the right person to advance chiropractic at that time, nothing stopped me. And all these naysayers became my greatest supporters within a period of a year, 2 years, 3 years. They were my biggest fans because I didn't let somebody else's certainty impact my own certainty. And that's what successful people do.
Fab, I just want to jump in there quickly. You know, one of the things that when I heard you tell the story of how you turned, Dr. Fab does an amazing lecture on how he, like the steps of how he turned the university around. And one of the things that I thought was just genius, and talking about certainty, was one of the things we have at chiropractic colleges, or any colleges for that matter. It doesn't matter. We have some osteopaths on the call, and we have acupuncturists on the call, and some physios on the call. And one of the things we have in college is this disconnect between, for instance, one of your lecturers who may be teaching a general science who doesn't know anything about chiropractic. How many of you guys had that at college at any one time? Cool. So what Dr. Fab did brilliantly was he allowed all the lecturers to do a fast-tracked version of chiropractic, if you will, but they were able to study, and obviously how much is it per year to study chiropractic, for instance, at Parker?
So right now, the education for 3.5 years is about $140,000. So a year is probably divided by 3, you know?
Okay. And so what Dr. Fab did was said, like, look, if you're lecturing science, if you're lecturing biochem, we're actually going to gift you, if you will, your degree. You have to go study it. You have to do the classes, but you're able to do it for free. But then what it created was the situation of lecturers being students and eventually becoming chiropractors. How many of you think that's pretty cool? Right? Like, what a simple, clever idea to again, just kind of collectively get the certainty up. So I love that. Sorry, I interrupted you then. I think you had one more point. Or,
yeah. Well, and to go back to that is because I survey our alumni when I became president and asked them, what were the 3 things that we failed you on in order to succeed in practice? And the first one was, you did not teach us basic science with a chiropractic approach. And then I found out that the reason for that is because to teach basic sciences in the United States in a university level, you have to have a bachelor's or a PhD. So the DCs were not teaching it. So that's when I went to the master's and the PhDs and said, if you will become a chiropractor, I will add more value to your education. But then the only thing is I want you to teach basic sciences from a chiropractic approach. And it really was one of the biggest changes why chiropractic Parker grew so quickly, because we went from almost going completely bankrupt. Within 3 years, we were the #1 school in the nation that we had to turn people away, which doesn't happen in chiropractic as far as you know in schools. The other thing that I look for and that I've seen in the most extraordinary chiropractors out there is that the fact that they live in service rather than survival. This is a principle that I learned many years ago. And in survival mindset is that you're thinking about your needs. I need to make X amount of money for this month. I need to do this. I need to see this many patients. I need to have this much time, whatever it is. But a service mindset for a chiropractor needs to be about what is it that people are struggling with that I can provide value? What can I contribute to others? Because remember, your worth comes from your contribution. It doesn't come from your knowledge. It doesn't come from how fancy your office is. It doesn't come from your location. It comes from the contribution you provide to those who we serve. So if you start waking up every day asking yourself a question, how can I better serve my patients right now? I mean, imagine you have an amazing opportunity right now where these people don't know what to do. They're sitting at home, you know, depressed, anxious, probably overeating, probably over drinking. This is the time to take ownership. And then I'll give you something that Les Brown taught me, at the beginning of this year. He said that the biggest mistake that people make is that they write all these goals for 2020, but they want to show up in 2020 the same that they showed up in 2019, and it will never happen. You have to become somebody different in order to achieve a different goal. So my question to you is, who are you going to be? Who are you going to be during this crisis? Who are you going to be when this crisis is over? Because right now, the only thing you have control over is yourself. So the fact that you're right here, right now, and the fact that you're working with Ryan, that tells me that you want to be somebody great. You want to turn this thing into something positive. But this crisis will go over. But the people that will succeed are the ones that are focusing on service right now with a sense of urgency. A sense of urgency right now. Every single moment counts. So don't just sit around, watch TV. Don't just sit around and do nothing. Do something constructive. I do want you to spend quality time with your family, because this has allowed us all to step back and realize what's important. But at the same time, remember this: the people that are successful are the ones that focus on servicing others, contributing value to others rather than surviving. Because when you serve, you will never, ever survive financially. I promise you that. And those are the 2 main characteristics that I've seen in very successful people over the last 30, 35 years.
Amazing. Guys, how many learning something? Awesome. So listen, I just want to do a quick little summary, because I want to be, we're doing something every single day, but Dr. Fab, and I'll just start with one of the things that I'm doing at the moment. Well, let's do a quick summary, but I'll start with a story. Is one of the things I'm doing at the moment is I'm very carefully watching all the successful people. And it's fascinating for me at the moment. It's like there is like 2 extremes at the moment. There's the I'm barbecuing and doing nothing all day, and it's a holiday. And there's the other people, literally, and this is my best way to describe it, it's a calm panic. It's a calm panic. It's like, I've got to produce, I've got to produce, I've got to produce, I've got to create, I've got to create, I've got to create. I've probably got more done like just because of that, almost that feeling of like the fact that there's nothing happening, is kind of like this internal drive to go, oh my word, I've got to create. And sometimes I can be my own worst enemy in that, just being busy for the sake of being busy. But there's a difference between productivity and busy, right? But I'm watching very carefully the very successful people at the moment. And honestly, what I'm seeing is they're working harder than they ever worked before. And it's like interesting for me. I'm like there's two sets of people in the world. There's like those that have like, oh, it's a paid holiday. And then a paid holiday. By the way, the government's coming back for that money one day, everyone. Just to be clear, that money's not going away. I mean, in the United Kingdom, Fab, they actually came out with a thing, some help for self-employed people. And in the same statement, he said, just so we're clear, this is unfair. Like I shouldn't be doing this. And we will be righting this ship in time. By the way, that is code for we are raising taxes. Very in the same statement. In fact, a journalist said, "Are you making a predictive policy change?" Like, no, I'm not. I'm just saying that we have to right the ship at some time. So the bailout, it's not a freaking bailout. They're coming back for the money, everybody. I promise. So the house always wins, as they say. So anyway, listen, guys, take some notes quickly. This is what I've learned from Dr. Fab so far. Number one, take care of yourself. Number two, there are three things: gratitude, exercise, and write down your goals every single morning. Also, Dr. Fab said that when he started working with Dr. Parker, that he would have paid him. Like he was working 17 hours or whatever it was a day. And I find that is such a fascinating, I see that in almost any successful person. I always say almost anything I ever did in my entire life that turned out very well, I did for free in the beginning. And what I mean by that is for instance, let me give you an example. One of my greatest mentors from a speaking perspective was T. Harv Eker and Blair Singer and people like that. I know Dr. Fab knows T. Harv very well too. And I didn't get paid, I paid to be on those stages. I paid all my flights, all my own accommodations for 2 years. That easily set me back, easily 40,000 pounds, everyone, easily. And I was already at a company turning over 5 million pounds. And you know what you did before the main speaker came on stage is that you got on your hands and knees with duct tape and you defluffed the stage. And I was prepared to do that just to be close to these guys so I could learn the skill set of speaking. So I loved when Fab said that. Also, your mission is going to be bigger than you. Another little tip I got from John DeMartini was, if you want your thing to be regional, you better have a globe in your. It's like you've got to be thinking bigger than yourself always. So I actually went and bought a globe, a big world. If you want to be global, you better have a picture of the stars and in the universe out there. So you're always dragging yourself into the next. If you want to just be in your state, if you want to be in your city, you better have a picture of the state. So it drags you out of that. If you want to be out of your state, you better have a picture of the whole of America, because it drags you out of your state, bigger than that. If you want to be outside of America, you better have a globe there, so it drags you out of that. If you want to be global, you better have a picture of all the stars in the universe, so it drags you there. I know this is quite esoteric, woo-woo stuff, but I promise you, the bigger you think and the bigger you have images around you that are bigger, it's going to drag you in that direction. The other things Dr. Fab spoke about is you've got to be hungry. The person with the most certainty, and we often talk about this in a sales perspective too, because it's not really a sales tactic, it's just a life tactic. The person with the most certainty always wins. The person with the most certainty will always influence the other more towards them in some way, shape, or form. And you've got to gain that certainty however best that is for you. And then the next one was a service mindset. And there's a brilliant little book. Dr. Fab, you might have to help me with it now, called, same guy wrote Acres of Gold. And anyway,
Acres of Diamonds or something like that?
Yeah, I'll think of it now.
Yeah.
Anyway, the analogy was the person that's really, this is all wealth comes down to. The person that serves the most makes the most. The person that serves the most makes the most. It's really.
And I'll give you an example. I was talking to Dr. Phil, and CBS and Paramount Studios, where we filmed Dr. Phil and the Doctors, came and said that they needed to shut down. So he was home for like 3 or 4 days, And he realized that this is the time, this is what successful people do. This is the time where people need him the most, not where he needs to be sitting at home doing nothing, you know? So what he did is that he called the studio and he said, I want you to come and set me up from my house. And even though he's in social isolation, he's doing in his own phone, and they set up a camera for the show. And his ratings are higher now than ever before because he was serving. All the other talk shows are homes and they're replaying all these other shows. He decided to address the problem and bring people contribution of value. And he even said it. He said, you know, Fab, I realized that a time like this is when people need me the most, not me sitting around collecting my paycheck, doing nothing. And this is what I wanted to share with you when it comes to service. Today is when people need you the most. Not tomorrow, not next week, not next month when they get out of this. It's today. So do something today. Feel like you're contributing. Your value will come from that.
Oh, man. Awesome. Guys, give me a thumbs up if you are learning something. Amazing. Quickly, Julie. First of all, by the way, does anyone have a question? Anyone have a question? Who's got a question you want to ask Dr. Fab? It's not often you get the opportunity. Filippo, go for it.
Okay. Here's my question. Well, thank you very much, Dr. Fab.
Thank you, Filippo.
Awesome. So much content. So much value. One thing is workout routine. Now, I have a 1 year old, a 3 years old, and a 6 years old, and my wife is pregnant. And sometimes having the kids is just like, how do I work out? I'm struggling with the workout routine. Any suggestion?
So the important thing that I've learned in success behavior is you have to be disciplined and you have to create some rituals. And what I find is that even though you have a very big family, and I congratulate you for that, that's a beautiful blessing, you have to be able to talk to your significant other and your kids, if you can, if they're old enough, to respect a particular set of time. So what I did, I ended up getting up earlier before everybody else. So that's how I started getting up at 5 in the morning, because my kids started getting up at 6:30, 7 o'clock to go to school. My partner was also getting up around that time. So I just said, you know what? I'm going to get up before everybody. I'm going to go to the gym and come back. And by the time I came back, they were just waking up. So they didn't even miss it. So maybe consider either waking up earlier, or if you like to work out at night, work out by the time they go to sleep. But figure out something and say to yourself, not one day goes without me working out. Make it a priority for yourself, because you're the only one that can control that time. It's your time.
Cool. Thank you.
And it will be a great example to them, by the way.
Thanks.
I will add also, Dr. Fab, I've been to, Dr. Fab lives in this beautiful apartment in the center of Dallas downtown. It's absolutely stunning. Check his view. It's so cool, so cool. But he used to live, Dr. Fab, what is on a golf course where the event was, where I spent time with you, and at a gym and a pool. What's the hotel at the?
So I lived at the Four Seasons Resort for 28 years before I moved to a high rise 2 years ago, so we have what is called resort living. So I just take my golf cart and go to the gym, because we live in 2 golf courses. We had 15 tennis courses. We had 10 racquetball courses, 4 pools. It was the most, and of course, Four Seasons service. But one of the things that I realized is that your environment impacts your life. So that's what I'm saying. Create an environment that allows you to become your best. So your physical, your emotional, and your spiritual health are essential before you can give to your family, before you can give to your patients, before you can give to your community. So it always starts from you. Unless you feed you, you're going to run out. It's not sustainable long term. You're going to run out of what to give.
Awesome. Another question. Great.
Thanks, Filippo.
Thanks, Filippo. Brian, go for it.
Hi, Dr. Fab. I was actually at the 50th anniversary in Parker with Mark Victor Hansen, Patch Adams, and all. It's absolutely phenomenal. So my question is, at this time, a lot of the practices, especially in the UK, we're either just seeing acute patients, which is really contracted, our regular appointments. But for those of us that are maybe, you know, putting out messages on Facebook, we maybe have our clinic pages, you know, what content would you suggest that we would put out? Do we tell the chiropractic story now, get the message out? Should we talk about symptoms? Should we talk about general positivity? You know, what do you think we should be, how should we be leading our communities right now?
So thank you so much for the message and for that question. This is, and Ryan can probably guide you better, but let me tell you what we're seeing. We're seeing right now that the chiropractic leadership is taking a very strong stand not to go out there and communicate that in any way the chiropractic adjustment influences the immune system or is going to protect you from contracting or healing the coronavirus. So I've stayed away from that particular messaging because it's my license on the line, right? Like probably you. So the way that I've done it and the way that some of the people that are really succeeding are doing it is you take ownership by asking, this is the perfect time to educate, by asking the right questions to your patients. You know, what is it? What is a virus to you? Do you know where viruses come from? Do you realize that viruses live within you and will live within you all the time? You know, what we have learned is that, you know, the body has a mechanism to fight these viruses. And let me teach you a little bit about how the immune system works, but not necessarily saying that my chiropractic adjustment is going to help you, because in the beginning, like I did a video, and I did it because I was feeling many of my chiropractic brothers and sisters were struggling in getting patients into their practice. Now I have hundreds of thousands of people following me on social media, but I reach about 5 million people on net television every week. So I put a video out there that said, go to your chiropractor because we have science that supports that a chiropractic adjustment supports your nervous system, which supports your immune system. And I got reported 4 times by chiropractors to my state board to take my license away. My own brothers and sisters were the ones that were doing it. So I want you to be cautious. So this is what I would suggest. Take ownership of the message and open up the dialogue. So what many of the chiropractors are doing, they're doing Facebook Live, or they're doing webinars to their patients. You can do it every day. You know, like, look at Ryan, you know, he's giving us information every day because he knows that we're hungry right now. People are sitting around. But do a Facebook Live and ask questions, answer questions to them, post questions to them. You know, what are you doing today to support this? You know, tell me, what do you know about vitamin C? Depending if you do nutrition or not do nutrition. You have so much knowledge of school that you can easily take some of that knowledge and break it down into very elementary language. Remember, on television, we teach at a 5th grade level. That's what they tell us to do. We have to break it down to a 5th grader language because most people don't understand big words. So begin to educate them. Number 2, make sure that you're always living with an action step. You have to train them to take activity, right? To move into activity rather than just learning. They have to take an action step. So you know how Ryan does to us that he's constantly asks us to do something. That's engagement. You got to get your community to be engaged with you. So get them to do something. Like today, I want you guys to walk for 30 minutes. Just walk for 30 minutes. Or I want you to do 50 jumping jacks. So like many of us, you were doing 100 sit-ups, 100 push-ups every single day because we're stuck at home. You know, that's something you can do. But begin to educate them as to the value of what you do, because from this time you can probably get more referrals than ever, because they're all talking about health to their friends, right? They're all talking about, what are you doing? What are you doing? Oh my God, my doctor just told me about this, so I'm doing it. Oh, really? Who's your doctor? Oh, you need to, let me connect you with him. And ask them for referrals. Look, invite people to this webinar, invite people to this Faithfuls Live. I want to reach as many people as I can, because I've gone to school all these years, and right now people have a lot of questions. But become a resource for them, become a value for them, and then they will follow you, is what I would suggest.
Thanks. Thank you.
You know, guys,
to
your point, great question, Brian. I know we've spoken about it a little bit on the Inner Circle group, but I actually think post this is going to be one of the greatest opportunities we've ever had to have a big patient appreciation event, ever. And if you look at what the story Fab just told us about 9/11 and the 50th reunion, if you will, it's very similar, right? It's like, I truly believe that every one of our practices, like the greatest opportunity we've kind of ever had to do like a big relaunch party is coming up. So within the next 2 months or whatever. So when we're out of it, and then it's the big, and I would spend significant investment on it, i.e. making sure we market it effectively, etc. Because I think it's going to be a fun event, and then we're going to have tons of families there, tons of guests there. In the United Kingdom and Europe, we're going into summer. So where is we've got quite a few people that do really, really well, but your jumping castles and your things like that in the gardens, that's going to be huge for practices coming up. So that's just a little thing that popped in my mind.
And Ryan, one thing that I would suggest that a friend of mine is doing is that he bought a big appointment book, the one that has multiple people. And we used to sell him at Parker for many years. But right now, he's really focusing on acquiring new patients. And he's filling up first week, second week, third week. He's giving himself a time where they're going to go back into practice. So they're building already, not just the appreciation day, which is beautiful because you want to have this coming out party. You know, let's celebrate our health. You know, let's celebrate each other. But also, this is a time where people will make appointments to check their nervous system, right? If you educate them properly, this is a time that you can actually evaluate how healthy they are, their wellness component. This is a time that you should be doing more education than ever because this is a time that they're paying attention. They have no other distraction. You know, they're sitting at home.
Hey, by the way, guys, it is 1:20. It's 1:20 on a Monday, and we're a full house. I'm just saying,
the same with
this would never happen normally, right? Same thing.
My webinars and my Facebook Lives have been the most attended ever. Why? Because this time is where people are hungry for understanding. My suggestion is be very careful in tying in your message only to coronavirus. I'm not even saying coronavirus anymore because everybody knows it. But I'm saying at a time of crisis, at a time of chaos, at a time that we're sitting at home with all of our children and we don't know what to do and we're going crazy because we can't even work out. So talk about what is relevant to them, what is their situation. You don't have to tie it into the coronavirus. They already know it. But you got to give them some value and give them little pieces of value every day or every 2 or 3 days. Don't try to give them too much at once would be my suggestion because they can only take so much. So just give them one thing. Like right now, I'm pushing intermittent fasting because that's what I'm doing. I lost, 12 pounds in the last 36 days and 3 inches in my waist. Why? Because I figure this was the best time for me to do it while I'm in seclusion. So I'm only having 1 meal a day, a very healthy meal, but I'm doing intermittent fasting. So I'm promoting it to people. Hey, do intermittent fasting, do interval workouts at home, running plays for a minute and then stop and then run it again and stop, whatever you have to do. But this is the time where you really can share and also make it personal. Tell them what you're doing. Tell them what you're doing for your family. Make sure that they understand that you're not just their doctor, their healthcare provider, but you're also their connection, so that you're doing it for your family. So how are you preparing meals for your children? This is very important. A lot of times we're not discussing our children. This is the best time to discuss how to support your children during this difficult time. Because the kids are not happy. They're having to learn online instead of going to class. They're bored to death, right? They can't get out a lot of times to the places they're used to going. So this is the time to really leverage all of that and make it a positive experience and then keep getting people to sign up to become new patients will be my suggestion.
It's interesting is I've seen a lot of you already start doing this, but one of the biggest things that I got from, your education on education was that 5 grader thing. It like really stuck with me, guys. That just, let me just explain that a little bit in depth. So when Dr. Fab was on daytime TV, right, with some of the biggest names on the planet, they are literally, the producers are constantly telling them, no, too sophisticated, too smart, like too sophisticated, bring it down. And I just found that so interesting, that how we love our fancy words and we love this and we love that. But like, I just love that story, how they're constantly kind of bashing you down, too much, which is...
they won't invite you. They won't invite you back is what I've learned. The reason I stayed for so long is because many of my friends that got on TV, after one time, they never got called back. And I keep getting called back. In fact, they want me to be a regular in these shows, but I have to move to LA or Miami or New York. And right now, you know, I just feel like, you know, this is where I need to be. So I keep doing the guest appearances, which is great because it gives me a tremendous amount of reach out there. So you have to keep your language simple. You have to keep it brief. That's the other thing in communication that we learn. The attention span of people is very short. In television, it's 30-second soundbite. In radio, it's a minute and a half. And in live experiences, it's the first 3 to 5 minutes. If you don't make your point at that time, you're going to lose your audience. So when you're doing these webinars and communication, keep it brief and go right into the goal. If you only had 3 minutes to say something, you know, I used to do videos, right? So when I did my videos, when I started a couple of years ago, I made them 10 minutes and I would get maybe 3,000 views in the first day. Then I went to 7 minutes and it jumped to 5,000. Then I started doing 3 minutes and it jumped to 10 to 15,000 on the first day. So I found that videos on YouTube is 3 minutes or less is what people can handle right now and give great value. Tell stories. People remember stories, right? Mm-hmm. So tell stories about your patients. You know, today I want to talk about Johnny. You know, Johnny was having allergies and he was struggling. And, you know, Jenny come to our office. Well, this is Johnny today. And we're so grateful to be able to take care of cases like this. So if you or anybody you know has a child that is struggling right now with allergies, please consider bringing them to our office. We love to take care of them. Tell stories. The reason Chicken Soup for the Chiropractic Soul was so successful is because he had over 100 stories that were all appealing to the heart, not the head. It's more powerful to speak to the heart than the head. But if you're going to speak to the head, keep it simple in the language, keep it brief, and also keep it relevant. This is the one thing, Ryan, that I see most people miss. So what is relevant? Take out the newspaper, look at what's going on in the news, and whatever they're talking about, tie it into your message. So if they're talking about, you know, okay, like in the United States, we were told this was going to last 2 weeks of shelter, and now they just added until April 30th. So we are sheltered now until April 30th. That's 30 days that people are going to be stuck at home, not being able to go to work, instead of 2 weeks that everybody was saying, okay, I'll make it through this week, but next week I can go back to work. Well, that's not going to happen now as of yesterday. So it's an opportunity. What can you do in that 30 days to really transform the lives of those people that you serve? And also, what can you do to bring more people into your tribe, into your practice, into your community? This is the best time I've ever seen because health is the one thing is in everybody's hands. Yeah. So this is the first time in history I've ever seen that.
Yeah, it's you know, when you're able to leverage traditional media, because I mean, Dr. Fab can give us more details on this, but you understand how much advertising spend is traditional media. Let's say they're spending hundreds of millions, for instance, to get a message out there. Then you get able to leverage that ad spend as if it was kind of one of your stories. And actually, Fab, just wanted to jump in there, guys. All of you on this call, we take for granted just how. I don't want to blow smoke up, you know where, but I just want to say you take for granted how different we live our lives. What leaders we are in our community. I mean, I'm just going to speak personally here about a family member on this call. My sister-in-law, Dr. Giselle's on this call. Give us a wave there, Giselle. So Giselle, she don't even realize, she doesn't know I'm going to bring this up, but she cooks these incredible gluten-free, sugar-free, etc. meals. But like Giselle, you should be putting that all over social media right now because like people are so desperate for some type of positive guidance, you know? And like, that's such a simple thing. So how many, like, especially on this call, almost every single one of us had some, do you know how few people, we just did gratitude today in the call. Do you know how few people did gratitude today? Like how worldwide, do you know how few people did gratitude? We just did gratitude on the call. Every one of you just wrote down what you're grateful for. Like talk about that, you know, talk about the fact you could take a picture of the screen and talk about you working on the mind. Like, so one of the greatest things I learned from Gary Vaynerchuk, whether you love him or hate him, what he does better than anyone is he doesn't actually create, he just documents. Yeah. So just look at the things that you're doing, you know. Dr. Fab said he is doing intermittent fasting. So he's just promoting the thing that he's doing. And if you look at what I've done in my life, it's like, okay, I ran practices and then I just taught the thing I was doing. So now I started teaching people how to run practices. Now, very shortly, a lot of you know this, I've had a lot of people asking me how to create a coaching business or an expert business. Now, I've done that very successfully. I'm going to just teach that again. It's the same thing, guys. You guys get it? It's just, you just teach the thing that you're doing, whether it's eating healthy or getting out there or positive or stuff that you're doing with your kids. Like now more than ever, people are desperate for some leadership right now, and we are in just the best positions to do that. How many of you learning something? Awesome. Dr. Fab, I know we're only supposed to keep you for half an hour, but being the true service mindset that he is, how many of you think Dr. Fab's awesome? How do you think there's even more awesome because you lived at the Four Seasons? That's awesome. So anyway, I've been there, and it is beautiful, and there's a massive gym there, and I had such a great time when I was there. I didn't want to leave, and my flight almost got cancelled.
Hey, that last day you didn't want to leave. I could tell. You were just
weather was beautiful. And guys, those of you who haven't been to Texas, you know, whenever we talk about a sabbatical, at some point, my wife and I are living in a different country. We often say that when it comes, you know, we've been to Austin, Texas, and as well as to Dallas, and we just love those places. They're just absolutely beautiful. And I'm going to visit a few members on this call are from Texas, so we've got to go visit there. It's an amazing place. Texas does rock. It's the best. I love it. No offense to anyone else for anywhere else. Dr. Fab, I thank you so much for your support. You always support me, and thank you so much for going the extra mile for me, and in turn helping my tribe. As you have always continued to help me, I really appreciate that. Don't give any more of my secrets away of my future guests. You're giving all my secrets away. But I just wanted to say thank you for who you are. And, you know, I think sometimes it's, you know, to put you in front. How many of you would love to have Dr. Fab at a mastermind? Yeah, there we go. So I just want to say thank you so much for all the support, and thank you for supporting all of us on this call. We love and appreciate you, and thank you everything you've done for chiropractic, and thank you everything you're doing for people right now. And it's just awesome. So everyone can you actually, Dr. Fab, I'll let you. Is there anything you want to close with?
Well, I just want to tell you that you know, I want you to recognize that there's no coincidence why you're in this call today. There's no coincidence why you're working with Ryan, one of the greatest out there. I want you to trust in that. You know, I am a believer that when the student is ready, the teacher appears. You are ready. Even though I know we second guess ourselves all the time, whenever you are feeling doubtful about yourself, then tie yourself into somebody that's more certain than you, in this case, Ryan, and because he will guide you. He will guide you as to what led him to the success that he currently has. This is only the beginning for Ryan. I can promise you a year, 2, 3 years from now, you're going to see a whole different Ryan impacting the lives of millions of people across the globe, because that's his mission. His mission is to serve at the highest level possible. So I want you to have a similar mission. You know, believe in yourself that this is the right time for you. This is what you've been waiting for. And no matter what happened in the past, forgive yourself, right? Many times we beat ourselves up, right? They say the average human being has over 70,000 thoughts a day, and 90% of those thoughts are the same thoughts they had the day before. 80% of those thoughts are negative in nature. We beat ourselves up too much. We need to change that pattern. We need to surround ourselves with positive people like this group. We need to do affirmations every day to change the negativity that we put in our subconscious mind. But we also need to take action. And you're taking action today about being here. And I just want to say, Ryan, you honor me for inviting me to this special group. I know how special they are to you. And I want you to know that it's an honor to support you, because I believe in you. Since we first met, I've told you that. And if there's anything that I could do, which I continue to do, to help support you, get your message out there, I do it because I believe that no one can be successful by themselves. This is one of the greatest lessons I've learned. You have a support system to help you, encourage you, push you when you need to be pushed to be the person you were destined to be, not to be the person you are today. So don't measure yourself as to who you are today. measure yourself as to who you were meant to be, who you were destined to be, who you are born to be, because that's who Ryan is looking at you as. Sometimes we need to have somebody that is sees in us what we can see in ourselves. This is the importance of this mentorship. That's why you're here. And I want you to know I'm honored that you listen, and I hope I brought some value to you today.
Everyone, unmute your screens quickly. Unmute, and give Dr. Fab a huge round of applause. Awesome. I'll tell you, I'll finish with this, guys. Dr. Fab, again, Arnold Schwarzenegger says that there's no such thing as a self-made man. There's no such thing as a self-made man. And as you all know, you're not as good as you think you are. You are much better. Love you guys, and please put in the Facebook group your biggest ahas from today. Go do that right away. Love to appreciate you guys. Keep serving, keep fighting. Calm panic. Now is not a holiday. Keep pushing, because it's these people that are come out, and one day we're going to look back at this and we're all going to laugh. And we're going to know that we did everything we could. So love and appreciate you guys. See you guys soon. Hey guys, thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and turn on the notifications so you know exactly when I'm coming on to give you a great tip.